All right, guys, this is the one you voted for. The huge problem with internet leftists. I think it looks like Hassan, Vosh, Ethan are going to be covered here. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got, dude. Let's see what we got, baby.
The rise of popularity for internet leftists has been meteoric.
Oh, Noah Sampson. Oh, the Pethan online guy. I don't like him the most
lately, and honestly, I hate it.
Oh,
I hate it so much. These people suck ass. Not because.
What do you mean these people? Are you just saying that because we're all white? Racist, all right, guys?
Because their ideas are stupid, which is definitely true a lot of the time, but because most of the time these people's personalities are unbearable.
True, that's true. I love bears, by the way.
America deserved 9/11.
Oh, no. I mean, that is an old clip. I feel like we could probably come up with newer stuff.
I'm saying it.
Cannot be bared. I've just always found it really annoying that these people like to play morality police while simultaneously being some of the most obnoxious and hateful people on
And they hate the police, or so they say.
the internet. So in this video, I'm going to be pointing out a bunch of their hypocrisies, making fun of them as much as I possibly can, and proving that a lot of these people are full of shit. So let's get started.
Okay.
In this country, you can get away with a lot. You can be arrogant, you can be greedy as hell, you can even kill people, and we will praise you for it,
I guess.
if the beat is right. But if there's one thing we can't stand here, it is a smug and condescending asshole. And no
Kind of true, yeah.
no one is more smug and condescending than an internet leftist.
Probably true, yeah.
That is a fact. Okay, so let me
It's weird because there are some it's not just the leftists that are smug and condescending. Like Matt Walsh it's Michael Knowles. It's a lot of like the right too. You could probably argue Ben Shapiro, but I kind of like Ben, even though I'm a little bit of a lefty. I don't know. There's something about Ben. He's a handsome guy. He's a fun guy. But it's not just a leftist problem. I wonder what it is. Because, you know, I mean, I criticize Matt Walsh and stuff, but I don't know. I wonder what the phenomenon is where I'm like more interested. I dislike Hassan Piker somehow more than Matt Walsh. I guess it's because, I don't know, do I expect it of Matt Walsh to just be like a dumb loser? You know what I mean? But Hassan's like, we're supposed to be on the same side and you're so cringe. I don't know what it is. You know, because that's a conversation. I've never really explored my feelings of like, you know, what is it about like Hassan that bothers me? Maybe it's because I feel like Hassan is just so dishonest. Like, I don't think he believes anything. I think Matt Walsh is like a legitimate psychopath, like, and hateful of gay and trans people because he is a closeted homosexual. You know what I mean? So I feel like maybe at least there's a genuinity there, even when he you know, does that make sense? I don't know. I still have to explore this concept. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's because I just think he's a fucking loser joke, Matt Walsh. You know, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Let me give this clip a little bit of context. This is FD Signifier, one of the biggest internet leftist video essayist people. That was a long-ass sentence. And this is him just responding to his fans, telling him that they want him to debate somebody.
John Henry Clark said,
Was it Destiny?
I only debate my equals. All others I teach.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel.
Now, I know I'm not the only one.
Was him potentially debating Destiny? Okay, I guess that's a little weird. I just don't like debating. I like conversations; those are fun. But like debating is, I'm just like not. It just doesn't sound interesting to me. You know, that's what I would just say. It's like, yeah, it sounds boring. Like I don't feel like engaging in, and not all debates are like this, just to be clear. But I don't like engaging in the sport of like constantly, intentionally trying to, you know, one up the other person's lie or misconception or whatever they're trying to push. I'm kind of interested in a real conversation. Debates are just cringe, you know?
One who could see a Yu-Gi-Oh villain saying some cringe shit like this, right? I only debate my equals, all others I teach. He didn't do the laugh, but in my head he did the laugh, thank you. But imagine taking yourself this seriously as a YouTuber to say some cringe shit like this, unironically. I mean, damn, aren't you the guy who just made a 30-minute video on Donald Glover's hairline? So
interesting.
Please stop acting like you're levitating above the rest of us. Next obnoxious person, Noah Sampson.
True that, brother.
Great friend of the channel. Now you probably won't
oh yeah, they great friends.
find him saying some Vegeta type shit like his black father FD here, but trust me, he's just.
I wish I had a black father. Mine left me though. Which I don't know.
Is obnoxious. Just as smug, just as condescending, actually less.
Is Noah as smug and condescending? I don't know. I haven't gotten that too much from him as I watch him. I don't think he's that bad, to be honest with you.
Information to learn. At least FD can teach you some stuff. Noah, You're not gonna
No, he can't teach us anything. Am I right? I'm just kidding. What the fuck?
learn a
How'd I
damn
die?
thing.
This
Except
is
what
racist.
cringy white people think is funny. I'm sorry to bring race into it, but it's true. You know it's true. Only white people think that shit is funny. I'm
What is he talking about?
sorry. Editor Kamal here. To give this second clip a little bit more
I
context,
don't
Noah
understand.
Sampson
I don't understand the joke.
made a video a while back airing some of his grievances on debate bros. For those of you who don't live on YouTube like me, a debate bro is somebody who basically just debates politics on Twitch or YouTube. And I just want to say, remember Noah's vibe throughout this clip, because once he's actually talking to these people in real
Noah has like a trying to be Curtis Connor vibe, you know?
life, the energy changes.
We need to use a couple of debate bros as our Caucasian punching bags, but they won't mind. As a matter of fact, they like it. They love it even. They love it when this happens to them, and we love to see it. This video is sponsored by White on White Crime.
Side note, once I inevitably become a dictator of America, humor like this will be punishable by death. You're welcome.
You should make black on black crime punishable by death. I'm just saying, bro. Because, you know, it's not a good thing.
But I personally
And white on white crime, too. But, like, what is a white? You know what I mean? Like, oh, Italian? Why? Why do I have to be considered them? I have the great German and Jewish blood. Why do I gotta have, you know what I mean? Like, I gotta be roped in with Italian people? What? What do they got? Pizza and Mario? Mario wasn't even created by a fucking Italian. It was created by an Asian guy. And pizza, Hispanic people are making their pizza in the back of the Italian places, and it tastes better than... So it's like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? I'm just busting chops. I love Italian people. They're my favorite.
just don't understand how you're going to be this smug and shitty, but then when you actually talk to the person your fucking 2-hour-long video was about, you have the energy of a little bitch.
Like
What happened to all that white girl sass, Noah XD Lows? I'm confused. Help me understand.
I think I definitely came off much more antagonistic than
You should have just went in there and said, Voss, you're gay. And then just left. Like, what do you, like, just be like, ah, fuck, you're cringe, you know?
I intended to. This video is sponsored by White on White Crime.
From where I'm standing, you look like a little ass boy whose mom went through his search history and just like, I don't remember doing that. And I'm not done making fun of this man yet, because
Hey, don't go through my search history. Don't seek things that could hurt you, you know? All I'm saying.
after this dude inevitably got roasted by Vosh's fans, he goes in his fucking backyard, makes another video with this smug, obnoxious attitude, and even has the nerve to call out Vosh's fans for being ableist because they were making fun of his stutter.
Kind of based. Really? He said it was ableist because of the stutter? That's kind of cringe.
Noah.
Did I see Vosh's porn folders? I heard that he had like a porn thing going. I really don't care. Do you have anything weird in there?
You don't even have a stutter in real life. So what are you talking about? And
Yeah. It's one thing if you have a stutter because of some kind of condition, but he doesn't have one. His condition apparently was getting owned. I didn't watch the conversation. I don't really care, but...
some weird chance you do have a stutter and you've just been hiding it from the world, my bad, okay? But like, let's relax. Ableism, really?
I'm just code switching, guys.
You're not in a fucking wheelchair, okay? You're actually the white person that's like, you know I'm 1/10 Cherokee, right? What are we
That's pretty high.
gonna do about my people's land? Like, that's actually you. What is that like? Tell me. Do you like that? Do you like being this person? Do you want to change? Are you comfortable with it? I genuinely want to know. Every day of your life, you're like
brother.
this? Why? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Gotta catch that bag, baby.
Now, obviously, it's a great
Pandering.
thing to be
I thought we're going person by person. Okay.
genuinely empathetic, but there's a huge difference between showing real compassion and pandering to get your I'm not
Showing real cum.
racist, look at me, guys,
Oh, I would never say that.
cool points.
You only see the looting of Target. You don't see the redistribution of the goods that they took from Target back to the community. Like, 'cause
What? What does that mean?
a lot of these neighborhoods are now turning into fucking food deserts where you have to drive 30 minutes to an hour to go get food.
I mean, I don't know if a lot of them are. That does exist, but I don't think that people stealing clothes and stuff from Target is going back to the community. Unless he means by them, like, selling them back to the community.
Okay, obviously that was dumb as shit, but before I have a bunch of white college kids call me an Uncle Tom, let's really break down what this man just said. He's telling grown adults that during the George Floyd riots, people were looting Targets and Louis Vuitton stores because they live in food deserts and they're unable to find food. So they were taking purses and
I live in a food desert, baby.
selling them so they could go and buy food for them and their families. While the government
Vinyl super chatted $2. Get yourself a bees churger and enjoy the weekend.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, brother.
literally paying you to stay home and not work. That's what he's saying. Now, one would say that if you
Listen, there were some people with legitimate grievances against the government for like, you know, violence or we'll say unfair treatment of black people, which is true from the police historically. And then there are some people who are taking advantage of that situation to be violent and steal. And a lot of that theft happened in like small, you know, or just theft and destruction hack. Oh my God. Some of that theft and destruction was unfortunately against like black people and black owned businesses and property of other, you know, black Americans. So it's unfortunate. But like this whole idea, I mean, you know, it's a slippery slope to start justifying crime. Like you can look at somebody committing a crime and say, you know, I think the reason that some of these people committed these crimes is because they grew up in like low income households and they have less of a value for property because they don't have their own and they might have had to do things to get by. And that's kind of manifested in them doing something deplorable like this. Even if it's not right now for them to need to steal, it's almost one of those things where it's like, hey, fuck it, who cares? I can't own anything. You know, there's probably some psychological jealousy of other people with things that do have stuff because that's a part of it too. So we can understand that from like a psychological perspective, but you can't let people steal. You still have to stop that stuff, you know, and work for like a legitimate cure to the problem, some kind of solid wealth redistribution that's not just stealing from Target.
you have the ability to get to a Target or a Louis Vuitton store that would definitely have nice grocery stores around it during rioting hours, you
I mean, there's food in Target too, so
probably have the ability to get there just when you want to buy your Sunday groceries, right? That would make sense. Don't be racist. Now, obviously, I'm making fun of Hassan because he's an idiot. If Hassan wants to make an argument justifying looters and rioters' actions during that time, there's an argument to be made. But to actually say that people were looting stores because they were in food deserts is the dumbest shit he possibly could have said. He just keeps topping him.
Hey, Papa, I just want to say I started watching a few weeks ago and I really enjoy your chill attitude and rational takes. Keep going. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, because I keep every once in a while I get this person. I think I covered, what was it, a Ms. Kiff situation, and Ms. Kiff and that one idiot Mitch is a loser, and I think I said a couple times like I don't care, like I don't care that he got beat up. I'm like, what? And people will say this every once in a while. Why do you cover something if you don't care? It's like, dude, why do you want me to pretend to care? First of all, why do I have to care about everything? Like, why can't some things that I cover be like, hey, this isn't something that needs to be cared about? When people are having a meltdown because, you know, the latest fucking Schmingelbang had a big meltdown, sometimes the commentary is like, this doesn't matter as much as you think it does. And second of all, people don't care about everything they talk about. They just pretend to care more than they do because they make money. I'm just not going to pretend to care. You know what I mean? Like, it bothers the fuck out of me. So thank you. I appreciate that comment. Okay? Stop being like, if you don't care, why don't you cover it? Go watch your other favorite sensationalized YouTuber who will pretend to care about every dumb thing on the fucking internet that doesn't actually matter. You know? Fucking piece of shit. Fuck you. Fuck you! You know? Isn't it boring to pretend that everything that happens is like the worst thing in the world? You know? I don't know. It's like, I don't have it in me.
Himself of dumb shit after dumb shit. It's impressive at this point. I will say this for the record.
Wait,
if Hassan knows that he's stupid, I give him all the credit in the world. But for some reason, I believe he believes that he's intelligent. And that bothers
very
me.
Smart
you
guy.
know?
He's a very smart guy.
Come on, that's from like 4 years ago. Hassan's grown. He's more mature now.
I'm glad you said that, random person in my comment section. Let's see what this moron just said like 4 days ago.
I think Kai being black and his audience being like black as well also will factor into the way that the media covers this. You know what I mean? Because
oh yeah, Kai started a riot, and he didn't like get held accountable at all. I don't think. So he should have known not to do that. But, you know, you can't call out the bad behavior of black people because that's somehow not racist to hold black people to a lower standard. I feel like most black people feel offended when, like, you look at the behaviors of some bad representatives of their group. And it's too far to even say bad representatives. You just look at other black people that have done a bad behavior and you go, and all you do is you just pretend they're all black. You know, I don't know. Like, when I see a white guy robbing a store, I don't go, look at this white guy, you know? So, like, why is it that when you see a black person doing something bad, you go, oh, look at this black person. Well, they're probably oppressed, blah, 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 blah. Like, doesn't that make other black people that work hard just look bad? Like, why are you comparing them to each other? You know, I understand the systemic conversation, but we don't always have to have that conversation when somebody fucking commits a crime. You know, we don't have to always equate, you know, every black person that steals to every other black person in the United States. We don't do that with white people. You know, these leftists aren't going, well, look at this white person. They blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know, it's probably insulting. I don't know. I mean, there's a time and a place for every conversation, but just I would be insulted if, like, every time a black person did something that, like, every virtue signaling leftist was like, well, black people are oppressed. And it's like, you know, meanwhile, I'm just a dude trying to make money and, like, a living. and it's like, oh, there you go. I somehow got roped into this conversation because someone happened to be black. Oh, yeah, this rich millionaire black guy that started a riot in New York. Let's talk about how oppressed he is for being black. Like, okay, great. That's probably really good.
People will immediately be like, oh, this is gang activity. Like when the Nelk Boys does something like this, or when Mr. Beast does something like this and it gets out of control, they're white, their audiences are white. So it's like, oh, these are kids that are
Did Mr. Beast cause a riot? If he did, then I'll criticize him too. I just don't think that ever happened. Am I wrong?
being crazy. I mean, fucking influencers, who gives a shit? They're crazy. They should stop that, right? People will be critical of it, but they will not be critical of it in the same way that they're going to be critical of this. Because we've seen stuff like this happen time and time again.
I'm pretty sure Kai didn't do any planning and just showed up trying to give away a bunch of money, and then it caused like a riot. That's it, right? I don't know. It's
Giant clown. Nobody in internet history has ever had an event go this badly. There was never a time where Mr. Beast had 8,000 people throughout the city getting sturdy on people's cars and
getting sturdy. That's funny.
attacking old man's businesses. That doesn't happen every Tuesday for them. This is a one and only. And also, I watched like 10 different news people talk about this situation. The
I didn't hear a single person call it gang activity, by the way. I don't know what he's talking about with
only
that.
one that talked about dangerous black teens was you. Even Fox News is
That's funny.
even talking about race. Just you and people like you. I know you're trying to do that. I'm not racist, guys. I like Kai. I love his content, when we all know.
Well, I think a part of it too is that it's very opportunistic. He feels like he could probably work with Kai at a certain point, or he'd like to get some kind of publicity. And so he acts like that. Meanwhile, you know, when it comes to like Gideon, he doesn't feel like he could work with Gideon. So he'll, you know, say he'll be inflammatory about Gideon because, you know, he made fun of Pokimane, and you're going to see Pokimane. You're going to see a lot of these other content creators just stop engaging with Hassan as he falls off. He doesn't have true friends. Like, that's the problem with him. The only one he might have left is Ethan, because Ethan's a pussy and lets people roll over him constantly because, you know, that's smart. Just saying, brother. So, you know?
No, you don't. No one over the age of 22 can watch that shit without wanting to
donate to charity.
That is just a fact. Number two,
I
we
love
as
donating
black
to
people
charity.
understand that some of us
Not.
are fucking annoying. We get it.
True.
Every race has that,
Wait,
okay? We are
I didn't say
regular
it.
people who can use logic and reason just like anybody else. So when you see people dancing on cars and attacking old people, no matter what race they are, it's okay to say, hey, those people suck ass. And you hold them.
Yeah, they're degenerates, man. Some sad stuff. You want to hold them to a high level. You want to hold them to something. You want to hold them to task on something. Or else they're going to keep committing the bad behavior. You can't enable that type of behavior.
them accountable, okay? The only people that are going to think that's racist is your dumbass fans. So actually, maybe, I guess you got to keep doing what you're doing. You know what? My bad. Never mind.
Come on, this guy sucks!
I do apologize for picking on my favorite comrade Noah again, but if you look at his entire channel, every video can pretty much be summed up to, ooh, ladies, aren't boys gross? Like,
True. I just started using butt wipes, and I'll tell you, it makes an unfortunate difference. Men, you guys are a little gross, but that's okay, because we're real men. You know, here's my thing. I forgot what the fuck I was going to say, if I'm being honest with you.
like, ugh. What a pussy. I do understand that that's what this website is. Now, you basically have to speak to a very specific audience to succeed, but there's something
Oh, I remember what I was going to say. You know, I feel like the days of like super meaningful videos to some extent is like not coming to an end, but some of these guys have to reconsider it, because when you're doing, I don't know, I feel like do something a little less meaningful sometimes. I'm not saying do reaction content, but you know, you're sitting there and you got to make this whole video essay on like, oh, this person's, that's, you know what it is. I think I'm having trouble completely identifying what I'm trying to say. But you have these situations where you have these content creators and they make inflammatory content sometimes. So, you know, like sometimes like Noah Samson, it's like everything that he makes seems like it's one of the biggest deals in the world. And it's like, just don't do that. You know, chill a little bit sometimes. You know, I don't know. Make a channel that's just about you talking about farts sometimes. You know, don't hold, because that's the thing. You get, I think I'm communicating very poorly today. Just sorry for that, by the way. But I think that content creators obviously need to make money. And so if you have one channel and you run out of ideas, I feel like sometimes people just come up with shit ideas and then they start making shit content because they didn't really have a passion about what they're talking about. They're just really looking for something because, you know, they need to make money. I get it. Make a second channel where you just fart and do something easy where you just kind of like, just talk out your ass for once in a while. You know, make something a little less meaningful that's more relaxing and enjoyable. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I'm doing a bad job communicating today. I'm so sorry.
About this reverse Uno
But maybe some of you guys will be able to like interpret what I'm saying.
card, Candace Owens, motherfucker, that I just find so
Candace
cringe.
Owens.
I'm sorry.
Canless OnlyFans? What the fuck?
I
Who
have
said
to make
that?
fun of him. There's just something about watching somebody just betray their own that just disgusts me. You know, it's like, I don't even care who it is. If he was an Asian dude that only made fun of Asian men, I'd be like, bro, what's your deal? You know, like, is this some
Cringe,
sort of
right?
like weird self-hate thing you have going on? You know, it's odd. And to be fair, most of the white men that Noah makes fun of absolutely suck and he should be making fun of them. But it just bothers me that you'll never ever see this dude make fun of any minority group that's not a Republican.
I love making fun of minorities.
Or plays ukulele. Like, that's it. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I'm just wired to not trust people like that. Because in my
True that,
eyes, you're
brother.
either just sharing a really, really small portion of
Jordan Peterson would say that that's their that's like their sexual strategy. It's the sexual strategy of weak men to act like the way that Noah Samson does. They pretend that they're on your side just to get close to you, and then they commit horrible atrocities onto you. Miss Piggy?
of what you actually believe so that your audience doesn't get mad at you, or you're
Yeah.
just extremely narrow-minded and kind of dumb. Either way,
Yes.
in my oh-so-humble opinion, you suck. And I really wouldn't have a problem with these echo chambers if these people weren't so quick to judge everybody.
I mean, half of you are so confused. You think Joseph Stalin was some great leader.
Who the fuck are you to talk about
fuck is
morality?
Joseph
It's
Stalin?
stupid. Also, it's
What
really
the fuck?
ironic to
Is he a camper in Call of Duty because he's Stalin? That's one of my lesser jokes.
me that these people love to make fun of like Republicans and white dudes,
You missed 100% of the shots you don't take, guys. So just keep that in mind as you criticize me.
but they have the aesthetic of a southern inbred that works at the local Jiffy Lube and has
True, they got that iDubbbz aesthetic.
relations with his cousin. You know, I
Wow, what's wrong with that?
never understood that. It never made sense to me how these people can understand such nuanced things like the intricacies of gender ideology and how systemic racism can lead to poverty, which can then lead to crime.
I don't think they do understand it. I think that they just kind of... I feel like some people who have these sociology conversations fail to understand the individual, like the individual perspective. Like, yeah, from a societal perspective, like there is different systemic oppressive factors, not just for black people, but just for everybody, depending on like what they are. You could have it because your parents were alcoholics or drug addicts or whatever. Yeah, I'd even say fat people. You know, if you're fat, you're a fucking food addict. Honestly, I mean, you're killing yourself. I mean, I'm there too. You know, you got to do better. Start working out. Just go for a half-hour walk every day. It's good for you. Don't even worry about the weight. Just literally try to get healthier through walking. Like, and then start there. And do that for like a couple months, and then, but I feel like they fail to understand how like weird and condescending it can be to talk about it from an individual perspective. Everybody has a story. You know, like the guy that murders 10 people has a story. He might have got violently beat up as a kid, but guess what? That murderer still is a murderer, and you can be like, well, that sucks. Let's try to prevent that happening from other people, but you're long gone. You suck. You know, you murdered 10 people, you know? And so depending on the severity or like the bad behavior, yeah, of course you can be empathetic and try to reform that person, but some people, you still have to criticize them. So when somebody steals from Target and you're like, well, they're black, so it's like, well, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? It's insulting to other black people who went through the same, if not worse, circumstances. And again, it's like, yeah, let's get rid of those circumstances. And like, yeah, let's provide meaningful reform to people that can actually handle it. But it's like, dude, you still have to get punished and arrested for your crime to get anywhere close to reform. And prison isn't perfect, but telling people it's okay to fucking steal and not like arresting them is ridiculous. Like, aren't they doing that in California? They're barely arresting anybody. Arrest people like for stealing. I saw like a bunch of people stealing fucking phones yesterday, and the cops were just sitting in front of the store. Arrest them, shoot them. I don't know. I'm not trying to be rude. Well, you shouldn't get shot over a phone. You shouldn't be stealing phones. Stop stealing. You know what I mean? Or go steal from a grocery store. You know what I mean? It's like, the fuck are you doing?
Which I definitely think are good things. I mean, for the most part. If your pronouns are kitty/cat, you can definitely fuck off. But mostly, I'm here for it. Now we're at the point
Why'd you have to do that one girl dirty? She probably isn't a kitty cat.
where if you disagree or even question any of their 10,000 talking points, you're some like racist, problematic bigot. We got leftists fighting with leftists because one thinks the other one is racist or transphobic. We got other leftists fighting with other leftists because one thinks the other is...
Maybe it's the community aspect, like what community you've decided to put yourself in. Well, as to why I criticize Hassan more than... I mean, I still criticize Matt Walsh, but like it's where maybe our communities are more similar, or maybe it's the hypocrisy of values. I don't know what... I'm trying to think about it.
Racist or trans...
Maybe I'm jealous, dude. Maybe I'm just fucking jealous. Oh my god, am I just jealous? Yeah, shoot him. If you steal from an iPhone store, the guy going in there took like 10 iPhones. Why not? Who gives a shit? Why the fuck do I care? Shoot him. He won't steal anymore. All right. You know, if you gotta correct the behavior. I think people would be less likely to steal if they get shot for stealing. Maybe that's not the right thing to do. Thank God I'm not in the criminal justice system, but it's like, god damn, stop stealing stuff, bro. You know?
Phobic. And I don't know, but when your qualifications for right and wrong are so arbitrary, it just makes me think that all of this shit is performative. It seems to me like you're just a hateful and spiteful person who hides behind this veil of progressivism and empathy to give yourself a license to be an asshole to people. And a lot of the times, the arguments that a lot of these internet leftists use to shit on people just don't make any sense at all. And the only reason they're able to get away with these weaselly-ass tactics is because they're speaking to echo chambers. And the often preached transphobic accusations are a perfect example.
Well, the way that Hassan called him transphobic is silly. I remember seeing ABBA talk a little bit about LGBTQ shit. It was a little weird. This was a while ago. I don't even remember what fucking video it was in. I did cover it, but yeah, for the most part, it's like whatever. I think Hassan was calling them transphobic because they said trans women have a biological advantage in sports. Like, yes. Yeah, of course they do. Like, okay.
Of how full of shit a lot of these people can be. So I'm going to break down a few of their arguments and prove that these people either don't know how to turn their brains on, or they're just lying for virtue signal points in YouTube views.
Then you guys are singularly focused and obsessed with talking about trans people. Go to their channel and type trans in the search bar. You can see how many videos they made on the topic. It's getting...
Doesn't you do the same thing about like the same people over and over again too? I mean, we all have similar topics that we talk about.
Obsessive. It's getting absurd. It's getting
So unlike Ethan and his incompetent little group here, I actually went through and counted, and I got about 22. So let's just say I missed a bunch. Let's round.
That's not that bad considering they make a video every day, right? So there's 365 videos. So what is that, like 7 or 8% of their videos per year? Not that bad. Is that the right math?
Up to 30. That's less than 3% of their total videos. So. I mean, trans people are like 2% of the population, depending on where you're at. They're about 50%.
I don't think it's that high. I mean, I guess if you consider non-binary people trans, and I do, but also don't. Well, they are, but like in the context, I'm pretty sure I haven't preacher talking about like trans people in sports most of the time, so...
Of internet discourse at the time. To call that obsessed, I think, is a little bit of a stretch, but, you know, whatever. Ethan...
That's true. It was a big part of our internet discourse. Conservatives really like to play into that one, too.
Says even dumber shit. Trust me. This is nothing.
I find it just funny on face that ABBA was banned from an event for being transphobic.
The organizer told me it was about a video I did about trans people, and knowing our catalog, we've only done 2 videos about trans people. One about, only 2. One about sports. Oh, yes. And one about not wanting to date a transgender person. Yes. And so there's transgender people in sports.
I would date a transgender. Well, I wouldn't. I'm married, but I just keep saying it. Like, I would only if they got the wee-wee still. You know what I mean? Like, I want to try something new. I've already had girls with a pussy. Why the fuck would I want that? I got the best one. I'm married to it. So why the hell would I need to try any more pussy? I want to try a nice trans cock, dude. Fuck it. Nice girl cock. You know, fuck it, man. I don't give a shit. Who gives a fuck?
I mean, most feminists agree with what we're saying, so I doubt it was that one. So
they do that a lot too, where they just go, most feminists agree with this. There's lots of trans people that they fucking talk out of their ass nonstop.
Yeah.
Is Ethan going to be able to prove that?
Well, Ethan does represent all trans people. I don't know if you knew that. So, yeah.
Most feminists don't agree that
people think that the non-binary fits in the trans umbrella. It does. Like, it's transgender. It does fit under the trans umbrella. I just think that sometimes it might erase some of like people with gender dysphoria's issues. And there are people that are non-binary that have gender dysphoria. But, you know, obviously I think that there's a difference between, I would say, a lot of people who identify as non-binary are younger people exploring their gender, which I think is a perfectly fine thing to do. but obviously they don't have the same struggles in life that somebody with like gender dysphoria since they were 4 years old has. You know, those are two different things.
Trans women have an unfair advantage in sports? Do you have any way to prove that, argue that, or are you just gonna talk out of your ass like a clown? Because no matter where you stand on the trans women in sports thing, I checked out the video that Ethan...
I thought Neil deGrasse Tyson had an interesting... It's something worth exploring, is that is to find the ways in sports that you could do it, of course, that you could equalize the playing field. You know what I mean? Like if you're playing basketball, well, not basketball, doesn't really work out, but let's say you're doing like a weightlifting competition or any competition that separates by weight. You know, like let's say that generally speaking, cisgender women that weigh 130 pounds have like equal advantages to a trans woman that weighs like 110 pounds. Then maybe you only allow like, you know, trans women of a certain weight in the, you know what I mean? So like that's something interesting. You figure out where that curve is and you play it a little bit. It's an interesting concept. Something to think about. I think it's worth thinking about it, but not every sport like does separation like that. So you couldn't do that in like basketball or something like that.
I've been dropped 3 links backing up what they're saying with scientific data. Ethan, are you able to do that? Are you going to go through the links and talk about why it's wrong, or are you going to provide anything, or are you just going to talk and say nothing? I don't know how you can talk for 3 hours and 41 minutes and say nothing. It's honestly a talent. You and Hassan are so good at that, it's weird.
They should kiss on the wiener.
Made in heaven.
Oh yeah, no, there's tons of trans people that agree with us. Tons of feminists that agree with us. Tons of Nazis that agree with you, probably.
Maybe.
We're just throwing them out there. I think Hitler actually shared that opinion with you.
He's so dramatic. Like, oh my God, really? You go from, I think trans women have an
That's funny. You're so dramatic. I don't know why that one hit hard. Like, yeah, that was just dramatic. That was like Mean Girls level of bullshit. I don't know why that one kind of hit hard for me. I was like, yeah, that was funny. Like, it's just dramatic. What are you doing?
Fair advantage in female sports to Nazis. Really? Like, that's the...
Probably not enough trans people to work and practice in sports. Yeah, you're probably right. I still think it's something interesting to think about, you know, even if it's not implemented. I think it's worth considering, you know? This way you've at least tried to cover all your bases and actually consider trans. Because no trans person is just becoming trans so that they can compete in sports and have an advantage. It's just not happening, and I hate when people insinuate that. So I think at the very least, like, hey, we're going to try to figure something out. Maybe it doesn't happen, but at least you, like, you know, it's like, you know, if you ever had a grievance and somebody took it seriously and listened to you, even if it came back and, like, you didn't get what you wanted, it just makes you feel better. Like, okay, at least this person heard me out and, like, actually cared about what I have to say, feel, and think, and, like, considered me. I feel like that's a positive.
I know he's trying to be funny, but like still. This is like the goofy shit they like to do.
Us not wanting to date trans people is not something that we've been shouting out at the top of our lungs our whole life. I've said it once in my life, and that was during that video. And the only reason I said it in that video was because Riley was accusing anybody who wasn't interested of being transphobic.
Okay, so I'm setting this up, but their basically response is, well, nobody likes you anyway, trans people.
Ethan, you...
What? I don't think that's... What? That's crazy. I mean, if you wanted to have like a really deep conversation about like why people aren't interested in trans people, or trans women, well, specifically, because it seems to be more of an issue with men to trans women. I don't know if it's as much of an issue the other way. Or maybe it is. Nobody talks about it. But I feel like some people are a little homophobic, and I know they're trans, and they still perceive that person as a man. And I think that mental thing there is potentially there. There might be a deep-seated homophobia. It doesn't really make you a bad person because you have that, as long as you're not disrespectful. Everybody has their issues. Maybe the person looks a little more masculine than they'd even like to. That's a conversation about providing the right resources for trans people to transition properly, make it cheaper. There's a lot of reasons. You know, but I don't think it's just like, oh, we're not interested. I think as long as you're respectful, it's like, okay, like be respectful to people. Like show a little bit of respect. Let's show a good amount of respect, not just a little bit. You know what I mean? But it doesn't. And there's some people that are disrespectful. And if you are disrespectful about you not wanting to date anybody, I think you're a piece of shit. Like you could be respectful about it and be like, oh, I'm just not interested. You know? But I get it. Kind of, I guess. I don't know. I mean, that's not a point where I just wouldn't care. I don't give a fuck. I would date a trans person. I just don't care. I don't know.
Slimy little clown. Are you going to engage with anything that they said? What are your opinions on trans women in sports? What are your opinions on a trans woman making a video saying, if you don't date trans people, you're transphobic? Do you agree with that? Do you disagree?
No, I disagree with that. Here's what I will say. If you're engaging in hookup sex and a trans person doesn't tell you they're trans, that's your fucking problem. I'm like at that point. Like if you're going to date somebody, you should absolutely tell them that you're trans. But if you're going there just to hook up and you like, and it's understood that nobody has any intention of like hanging out again, I don't really care. People will be like, no, not telling somebody that you're trans is basically like rape. It's like, no, it's not. Then I'd be like saying if I slept with a girl and tell her I was married, that I basically raped her too. No, I didn't. Like not every time you withhold information, it's wrong, but it doesn't make it some kind of sexual assault. Like, you know, I still think it's wrong. You should tell people, but if you're going to hook up, I don't give a shit. You know? So.
Agree with that? Do you have anything to bring to that actual conversation? Or are you just going to play a clip out of context?
You're just afraid that you liked it.
And say that they're transphobic. Do you see how stupid that sounds? And even the clip, if you listen, doesn't sound transphobic at all. Like, this is embarrassing. You're like 40 years old, and you've been doing this for 40? A long time. And this is the best.
Well, not really, though. He hasn't been doing it for a long time. He's very new to being a progressive. So
you can come up with the team of like 16 little miss.
Yeah, all white, by the way. An all-white team? Something about this doesn't seem quite white.
This is actually pathetic.
Hire a black person, Ethan. Like, what? You know, in all honesty, why hasn't he hired a black person? Like, if you talk about like, why not? Why not try to find like a black person that could fit in your little clique? Maybe they said the N-word a lot behind the scenes. I don't know. Imagine like 5 years from now, one of them leaves and they're like, Ethan used to say the N-word all the time. It was that would be fucking devastating for him. I don't know. But for all like or a trans person, like, how come you haven't hired a trans person? A black trans woman, the most oppressed, unironically. Hire a black trans woman, Ethan. What the fuck?
I'm just glad Hila's not sitting next to you, okay? Because I actually kind of like her. Okay, so let's see where they say no.
He's trying to rizz up his wife.
Nobody likes you anyway, trans people. That's what Ethan's saying. Auburn preacher's saying, right? Okay, let's watch them say that.
He says here that here's why transphobia is trans people's fault because they're annoying. I guess
this is extremely important, and why I think everybody should be listening to what we're saying is that. If you haven't heard recently, people between the ages of 18 to 34 are actually now less accepting of LGBTQ people than they were over a year ago. And this dropped by over 8%. So what?
I mean, that makes sense from a year ago because we hit woke burnout. Like a year doesn't overall, like people are more accepting. But what happens is things will generally go too far. And it's not even that trans people, it's like a lot of time it's like cis people weaponizing trans issues will be like obnoxious and virtue signal. And it will lower acceptance rates for sure. But things go too far. It's like, hey guys, trans people are valid. Oh, okay, people can be more receptive to that. But then it's like, oh, hey guys, if you don't date a trans person, you're transphobic. It's like, okay, what the fuck? Okay, what the flip? What happened?
What does that mean? That there's always this mantra that young people are inherently going to be more and more liberal, and that they're going to be more and more this way. But we're actually seeing the opposite thing being true.
No, we're not. Again, like this is a year. Things operate on a curve, but overall, people are becoming more accepting. Again, it's from like a year ago, especially in pandemic. We were super woke, and we've hit woke fatigue. Is what I'm trying to say.
And so I would tell people part of why I think this is becoming true is that people are seeing some of the tactics that LGBTQ activists are using in order to further their agenda.
So this one Ethan could latch onto and say like, you know, and you don't know exactly what's happening. And this is an old video, so like, I'm not going to hold him to it. But saying that like LGBTQ activists have like an agenda, he could be talking about non-LGBTQ virtue signaling. Which is something that maybe he does clarify. But the concept of saying like agenda, you know, there is a lot of conspiracy talk when it comes to gay and trans people that there are psyops out there that are trying to emasculate men and feminize men and et cetera, that LGBTQ is like a poison. It's not. And so that kind of language to me can potentially dog whistle. So like if Ethan called that out and then like it said exactly what I just said, like that would have been perfectly reasonable. It's like, yeah, I'm a little bit anxious about that, the way that he's talking, because it kind of can speak to potentially more transphobic crowd that might pick that up and like use that as like this, that, and the other thing. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's a very valid criticism that you can make. Let's see what he says.
And so again, this is like really classic bigotry where it's the trans people's fault why people hate them more.
So it's like it's not particularly well explored, his perspective there.
This is why I can't stand this slimy little bitch, Ethan. In what world is that classic bigotry to say, hey, this group of people, trans people, they're activists, are turning people off to the entire group because they're doing obnoxious shit. What does that have to do with the average trans person? How is that problematic? How is that transphobic? To say that...
Yeah, see, the way that he interprets it is like, hey, it's not all trans people. Some of the activists are annoying, which is true. That might have been what Abin Preacher was trying to say. I think it's worth clarifying. So
your group's activists are annoying. And not even annoying to us, but it seems like they're turning people off to the entire group of LGBTQ+. That's transphobic? Are you fucking stupid? And do you see how he's just misconstruing everything that they're saying? Oh, so you're saying it's trans people's fault? No, nobody
Sorry,
said
I had to text my Bobshi happy birthday.
that. He said activist. That is a huge distinction. And
it could be. Depends.
Ethan's loser ass lives on Twitter, so I know he knows what they're talking about. Like, you haven't seen a bunch of crazy ass trans activists who are probably just a bunch of bored straight white people who are
might be true.
saying all sorts of crazy dumb shit on the internet that the average person looks at and they're like, ugh. That is annoying. I don't like this. Something like, hey, if you don't date trans people, you're transphobic, you're problematic, you're hateful. That is a stupid thing to say. Anybody who's willing to be good faith at all knows that as a fact. Or you're just fucking crazy. I mean, I don't know. So you don't want to engage with anything that they're saying.
Why would you want to guilt somebody into fucking you? You know? What are you, a man? Typical. Hey, epic male call out there. No, but that's weird. I'd never want to make somebody have pity sex with me. And when you're like, if you won't date me, you're just some kind of phobic. It's like, I don't want you to think that way. I don't want you to like fuck me out of like burden. Like, I guess I gotta fuck this guy. I don't want to be fat phobic. It's like, that doesn't make me feel good about myself. It makes me feel even uglier.
Just taking clips out of context, and even the clips you're playing don't even look bad. I mean, the like to dislike ratio on this video is shit for a reason, but this is why people cannot stand internet leftists, because I'll be standing there looking at the sky, seeing it's blue, and then you have goofy ass Ethan telling me that it's orange and that I'm hateful and problematic for thinking that it's blue. Do you have any idea how infuriating that is? If you want to live on planet bleep bloop, that's your prerogative. But everybody else on Earth, we're over here dealing with Earth's problems, okay? You clown fuck. This shit is why your fans don't like you. I know you want to say dumb things like, oh, people are mad because I'm overweight. Like, you weren't overweight then.
They're just pandering to their fans who don't like me because I'm fat, you know?
This shit, Ethan, if
that's crazy.
If you're watching this,
people only like me because I'm fat. What the hell?
This is why no one likes you. This is why people don't respect you. Because you are a slimy, lying fuck. And it's sad.
It doesn't take long to look at the whole of Abba and Preach's content to see that it closely resembles.
I haven't really seen anything like that from Ethan lately, although he did have that whole like ridiculous fucking situation going on.
Anti-SJW content that you might have seen during the Gamergate days. And a significant amount of their content is simply antagonistic towards trans women for a cheap view. A lot of this is something that's called straw feminism, which is where someone—
I don't know if that's true. I haven't watched all Abba and Preach's videos on fucking trans people, so—
takes the most extreme or uncharitable interpretation or representation of women or feminism and uses that as an avatar to argue against the entirety of a concept or a gender or a group, etc.
To my uncle FD here, leader of Cornbread Tube, his name, not mine. I didn't make that cringe shit up. I totally agree that the people that Abba and Preach pick to make fun of, they are not your typical average trans person.
Then then that would be like problematic if they're cherry picking a little bit. Like, yeah, if that is, again, I don't really watch enough of it to know. But like, yeah, that could be a bad thing, like doing that SJW content. I used to do it too back in the day when I would make my content. But like, I wasn't actively like, oh, I want to make trans people look bad. I don't know. It was just like, oh, this person's crazy. And then it kind of almost evolves into that sometimes. I don't know, without even being intentional. But yeah, sure.
100% right. But it's not a straw man argument because they're not using these people to attack all of trans people. Abba and Preach, unlike you, are comedians. They're trying to be funny.
Dude.
They just pick people doing crazy shit and talk about it.
Same here, dude.
It's not that serious. When Abba and Preach are making fun of Fresh and
it might be
Fit, they're making fun of them as individuals and their extreme and moronic way of thinking.
Yeah, sure, and all red pill people.
Only women have the privilege of being stupid, and to be honest, a lot of them are dumb and don't make sense.
No
offense, ladies.
They're not attacking.
Actually, they make 83 cents on the dollar.
Attacking all of black men.
But they deserve it, let's be honest.
Same thing for trans people. When they say something objectively stupid, they deserve to be made fun of just like everybody else. Sure. That's what treating somebody as an equal actually looks like. What you and Ethan are doing is coddling a random group of adults so you can get a YouTube check. Abba and Preach aren't using these individual trans people so they can attack the whole trans ideology. They're calling people by the correct pronouns. They acknowledge that trans people are real, but these people are crying on camera acting like Abba and Preach are burning crosses on Caitlyn Jenner's big ass lawn. At this point, I feel like it's total BS and these people are grifting and pandering for money, or these people are so deep in their extreme ideologies that they completely forgot what real prejudice and racism actually looks like. And not only is that extremely annoying to deal with, but I feel like the only thing these people have actually accomplished is cheapening these words to the average person. Because if you ask an FD signifier or Hassan, everybody's racist and every everybody is transphobic.
No, only white people are racist, dude.
Don't get so mad about it. Everyone is transphobic. Trans people are transphobic before they recognize that they're trans. They have internalized transphobia.
Now when it comes to talking about real hate, the
maybe we all have a little bit of a bias in us. I don't know.
only people that are going to want to hear about it is your dumbass little group, because you've been using these words to attack the average person. Just
the thing is that I don't know if that's necessarily wrong. Like, yeah, we probably all have a little bit of prejudice when it comes to like gay people, trans people, even other races a little bit. You know, I think I like to call it fun. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, maybe, you know, like I'll make little jokes and I'll call something gay every once in a while. Like there's probably a little bit of like internalized something, I guess. I mean, but I love gay people, and gay people love me. They think I'm handsome. I have gay family members. I have gay friends. It doesn't mean I'm immune to being like bad, but there's no hate in my heart, I guess is the way. And I think when people talk about like a phobia, there's usually like hate in their heart. You know, like people who are homophobic or transphobic. Like to me, it's not just that they maybe have like an unbiased perspective, or excuse me, a subconscious perspective. Like they actually have hate in their heart for those groups. Like Matt Walsh is homophobic. He hates he hates himself because he's closeted homosexual. That's not an insult. That's just a fact. All right. I'm just kidding. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. But I think that's the problem. Is that's how people, whether they are able to explain it or not, that's how people internalize like some kind of bigotry. It's like actively disliking something. So when you call everybody like a little homophobic or a little transphobic, I don't think that it ever works for you. It just kind of makes you look stupid, because you know it's like people are like, I don't hate trans people, you know what I mean. So I don't think that that's necessarily a good way to approach this situation. But hey, what the fuck do I know?
minding their business for like 10 years straight, and now when a regular person—
Shut up! If a gay person ever says you're handsome, they mean the opposite. Shut up, dude. You're wrong. Gay people think I'm hot as fuck. Gay people and grandmas. What are you talking about?
Person hears about transphobia, they roll their fucking eyes because they have you in their head. But that's my point, because people who are actually empathetic and have strong moral standings don't act like you. I found that people who are on the extreme on either side of the political spectrum are some of the most apathetic and miserable people on
apathetic and preach? What the fuck?
This planet. They only care about freedom of speech when it's benefiting them, and they have zero understanding for anyone with a slightly differing opinion. Speaking of differing opinions, I want to end this video with a comment I got from one of my lefty brother-in-arms, BroSoul9320.
What is that?
Kind of sad to see such an Uncle Tom good boy on here. He's literally getting angry at the concept of empathy. Clearly, I'm the one with the empathy problem, but he's not done. Let me continue. Good slave. Keep telling—
Jesus fucking Christ, man. It's got to be rough being black. You can't avoid being called racist or getting called something that like invalidates your existence. Although people call me— well, people don't actually really call me racist. I actually have not been called racist. Like, I haven't unironically been called racist in like a year. Like, people will joke in the chat, be like, you're racist. And they'll be like, thank you so much, Papa God, for making me more racist. Like, I hear that as a joke, but I don't think anybody's actually called me racist in like a very long time. I think that's a win. I think that's a win for Papa God. That's fucking crazy. You know what, guys? I'm not racist anymore. I'm not that racist. I'm not really. I might be. No. That's a positive, guys. I'll look at that as a W. Fat dubs in the chat, baby.
Telling those human rights activists, I think he's referring to Hassan Piker, to not take it so seriously and bro, just get over Jim Crow.
Such kind and gracious words from the tolerant left.
This comment perfectly sums up how a lot of these empathetic leftists actually think and feel. Kinda racist, apathetic, overly emotional clowns. That's what I see most of the time when I look at an internet leftist.
All right, cool video, man.